Good afternoon, and welcome back to The Final Whistle. This is episode number 3. I'm your host, Simon Kishchuk. In the studio with me today is Kyle Watson.
How are you guys?
Kyle Cushman.
Hello.
And Nigel Gubechkin.
Buongiorno.
Wow, getting some different stuff going on in there. So we're going to jump right into it. Last week, we talked a lot about Manchester United, and we all gave our opinions on how we thought they were done for in the Champions League. Yesterday, though, they proved us all. Was it even yesterday?
No.
That was last week. last week, they proved us all wrong, and beat PSG 3-1 at the Parc des Princes. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, that's a tough look for all of us.
Yeah,
I'd like to apologize sincerely. Just kidding, because I don't really like Man U. But I was 0 for 2 with my predictions. I said Man U was going to crash out of the Champions League, and then I said Arsenal is going to struggle at home without Torreira. Guess what? We didn't struggle at all. That's for another day, another topic. But going back to the Champo League, I'm not going to call it that.
You're
welcome.
Yeah, I'm not going to call it.
That's why you're in the Europa League.
Yeah, we're not going to call it the Champo League again. And listen,
Yeah, that's wrong.
was it a pen? No. And that's just how I feel about it. And someone else can talk about it.
Well,
but that's
we might talk about that a little more later on. But it's a funny one because it was kind of backwards from what you would expect. You kind of expect the home team to first of all win their game.
Well, firstly, they should have won the game, in my opinion. They had absolute domination through 90 minutes and then just couldn't put a ball in the back of the net. And then
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good on Paris, that's for sure.
No.
Mbappe's come out and said in the press afterwards, he says he can't sleep at night. The players are distraught. I think they were too confident. They thought they'd won it in the first leg, and that cost them very, very dearly. You could
Classic
see
PSG.
Well, it is. They've spent over £1 billion in the last few seasons, and they haven't been able to get past this stage in the Champions League so far. So that's really not a good look. And I mean, it doesn't help when you've spent 200 million on a player and he's injured often, and he was injured for this game. Neymar was in the stands, and I think his reaction, I don't know if anyone out there saw his reaction when the penalty went in and he realized they were going out, but he didn't think it was going to happen, and then lo and behold, now they're out of the Champions League. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but 3 of the worst goals I've seen. I mean, as much as I rate Gigi Buffon, he really did should not have given up that big of a rebound. He kind of raises questions whether he should still be in net in the Champions League side. But for me, I mean, I can understand how impatient PSG fans must be getting. But I mean, with Neymar and Mbappe and the rest of how talented a team they have, I think all they have to do is wait a bit longer. I mean, they were really unlucky not to have Neymar in the side and Cavani for the full 90 minutes. I think they might have made a difference putting away some of those balls. But
yeah, I mean, especially when you consider still, as we talked about, a few of the reasons we thought Manchester United were down and out was because of all the players they're missing. And that didn't seem to be too much of a problem. They played Scott McTominay and Fred in the midfield, and it worked out fine for them. So, Ole's magic. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody saw this coming. I know we didn't see it coming. My friend, I'll give a little shout-out, Tyler, really was happy with this, and
shout out Tyler.
did not agree with any of us when we said that they were going to crash out. He kept his belief. So, I guess good for all the Manchester United fans out there, but that's enough of that. I don't really like Manchester United at all. So, also on that day that we missed last week, Porto beat Roma after extra time.
Great game.
A late penalty saw them through. So not too much to say about that. I mean, it was a tough one to call, I would say. So, they flipped the result. That one was 2-1 as well. So they had to go to extra time, and then they were able to wrap it up at home. So hats off to them, and we'll see them in the next round. And then we saw some more action today, round of 16, second leg again on. Saw Juventus take on Atletico Madrid, and Manchester City took on Schalke. We'll start with the big upset. Juventus 3, Atletico Madrid 0. Ronaldo with a hat-trick. This is exactly what they brought him in to do. So what do we think about that game?
Just an incredible performance from Juve at home. Ronaldo showing up big in the Champions League as per usual. It's just, that's exactly what they brought him in to do. Just plain and simple. And we talked about it last week when Real crashed out. He's the X factor in that Champions League match that can bring you back into a tie that you should be out of.
And they missed him. Real Madrid did, and Juventus
Exactly.
were counting their lucky stars today to have him. Mr. Watson, what do you think about the game today?
Manchester City or
No, we're still talking
okay,
about
well,
Juventus over here.
we'll
Get to your team.
as much
don't
as
worry, no worries.
I would like to sit, as much as I really think in my heart that Messi is the greatest player of all time, and I think in terms of pure ability he is, it's really hard to sit and make that argument when Ronaldo is won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, been undoubtedly the main component in those 3 Champions Leagues, and to score a hat trick when your team's 2-0 behind, it's really bringing up the conversation. As much as that conversation's been beat to death, I think it's honestly this season, if Messi, if Barcelona we're looking like a favorite to win the Champions League, if they can't win it and Ronaldo wins 4 in a row, I think that really opens up the conversation again.
Well, he's such a big game player. That's a big. I mean, Messi's coming up big for Barcelona, but now we're seeing Ronaldo. He's done it. He did it for Manchester United. He's done it for Real Madrid, and now we're seeing him do it with Juventus. So that's a huge versatility. Top 3 leagues in the world, and he's showing he's still up there at the age of the tender age of 33, I would say. But yeah, I mean. Nigel, do you have any thoughts on that performance?
I mean, for me, it's kind of disappointing because I was really all in on Atletico to win the Champions League this year. That was who I picked to win after the first leg, and my prediction didn't pan out that well. But I don't know. I think Atletico really didn't stay true to what they're known for, being a team that doesn't give up 3 goals in a game, giving up a 2-goal lead on aggregate, and I think that shows the class of Juventus that they're able to pull off a victory like that over such a solid and sound defensive team with great defenders like Diego Godin and Lucas Hernandez in it.
Well, that could have been
That's
part of the
true,
problem.
yeah.
He was missing,
No,
so
yeah.
Juanfran had to fill it at left back. That could have been a problem.
Yeah.
But it really was. It was very, very uncharacteristically
Yeah.
Atletico Madrid. We expect them to be such this defensively rock solid team, and the last time they would have conceded this many goals, home or away, in the league, Champions League, whenever. They just they don't concede many goals, right?
They almost played too defensive today.
That can kill you sometimes too, because you
They're-
go into a game thinking,
exactly.
"Oh, we have a 2-goal lead. Let's just sit back." But if you sit back for 90 minutes, you're gonna face
There's
attack
a
after
difference
attack.
between playing defensive and just not attacking.
Parking
and
the
it seemed
bus,
for most of the game that Atletico just didn't really do much attacking at Juventus. And looking at the numbers, 63% possession for Juve, 16 shots to 5. Just some of those numbers are just kind of incredible. Atletico didn't even have a corner the entire game. Just something that kind of minuscule, but it shows that they were just kind of never attacking Juve.
Yeah, it's a pretty big indicator to see that they never got into position all game to win themselves a corner. I don't know, Kyle, how many of those shots were on target?
Of the 16, just 4 were on target for Juve, but
They made them count. And, they had a goal disallowed, too. That was a little bit of controversy. VAR had to come into use for that. And then Ronaldo's second goal just barely crossed the line. It was obviously over the line. We've got goal line technology is undisputedly important in the game now. But Oblak almost kept them in the Champions League, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was such fine margins in that game that caused it to tip. And the second goal is so important, because that brought them level. It would have pushed extra time, but Juventus found a little more in the tank.
and even talking about the goals coming at the 27th minute, the 49th, and the 86th. So that just shows that this wasn't just one random burst that was kind of fluky. This was consistent domination throughout the entire course of the
Yeah,
match.
that's very true. Yeah. Yeah, so not much more to say about that. I mean, I'm sure Atletico Madrid and their fans will be going home very disappointed today that they didn't have enough to because
Once again,
once
at the
they-
hands of Ronaldo.
they must really hate that guy.
Jeez.
You think?
I do think so, yeah. But yeah, I mean, they if they score one away goal, in this competition, they're
It's
so
tie
important.
over,
You'd
yeah.
think if they come out the blocks racing at the beginning and score early, they give Juventus so much more to do, and then they're confident they can sit
Yeah.
back, and then they can prove
Exactly.
their defensive power. But as soon as they don't have that crucial goal, it's 3-0, and it's even at 2-0, they would have had to go to extra time,
Yeah.
risk losing it then, and then to pens, and at pens it's anybody's guess. So for me,
Yeah.
they had to go and score.
Yeah, I think Simeone's known as such a great tactician, but I think he got it wrong today and telling his team just to sit back. I don't agree with necessarily coming out and playing offensively, but I think coming out and just playing it how you played in the first leg.
Well, they could have played their
Just
game.
play your game.
Their
Just
play
yeah.
your game. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean their game is defensive. So, but they score goals. They showed that they
Yeah.
scored
It's
two
They're
goals.
a
defensive,
against-
but it's not
counter-attacking team.
This
Yeah.
defensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Juventus are also very well known for their defensive quality as well. With Giorgio Chiellini's, how old is he now? Like 34,
He was
35.
flying
but
in that
he's
first half.
but he's still rock solid, and
Yeah.
they don't concede a lot of goals either. So Atleti did really, really well to get those goals in the first leg, and then they fell behind this game. So unfortunate. Now Kyle will get to your little. We don't want to talk about this too much because there's not a whole lot to talk about. So Manchester City 7, Schalke 0.
10-2 on
that
aggregate.
game 10-2 on aggregate. Schalke in the first leg was 3 away goals, not great. They lost the first leg, but they were still in it. They should have been in it in the second leg at least, and then they just the entire game they were just getting scored on, and they had nothing in response. So
Listen, I could sit here and sing my team's praises all day, but at the end of the day, with a 7-0 scoreline, I think it much more demonstrated how poor Schalke were.
Dude, they're so bad.
From the get-go, like, they couldn't contain Sané or Sterling, like, whatsoever. They were making runs left, right, and center. They gave Gundogan, who I think had an excellent game, so much room, and he was just firing through balls over the top, left and right, and at the end of the day, it was just smooth sailing.
yeah, and goals coming from all over for City too. That's very encouraging. It wasn't like Aguero scored 5 and Sterling scored 2 or something. It was 2 for Aguero, 1 for Sané, 1 for Sterling, 1 for Bernardo Silva, 1 for young Phil Foden. That's really nice to see, and 1 for Gabriel Jesus at the end. That's very balanced, and they started scoring. Not super early actually for a scoreline like this. It was the 35th minute with a Sergio Aguero penalty, but then such consistent scoring for the rest of the game. All the way from the 35th until the 84th, they were scoring goals.
Schalke are only 4 points up on a potential relegation spot in the Bundesliga. It's impressive that they even got to this point, and it's impressive that they were able to score 2 goals in the first leg. This is just a team that there's no reason for them to be this deep into the Champions League, and it kind of showed today because they got absolutely throttled.
Do you think, I didn't see the lineups, have they prioritized the Bundesliga survival and rested their players, or was
They
this
just
was
haven't
this full
been
strength?
good.
They're just not
They just
good.
haven't been
They're
good.
just plain old not good.
They rested their first-choice striker, I saw. So
Well,
I mean, what's the
That
chance of
doesn't help.
walking to like the Etihad scoring? You have to score at least 2 goals. Like there's
Oh,
just and not
yeah.
concede 1, right? Like there's just no way you're gonna do that as Schalke right now. I think they kind of knew it was coming. It was inevitable, and then 7-0. I mean, they probably weren't hoping for 7-0, but
yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody ever hopes for
no,
7-0, but
no, yeah.
I mean, over 2 legs, you could see, we saw it last season that Liverpool were able to take down Man City over 2 legs. Obviously, Liverpool have far, far more quality than Schalke, but, City aren't perfect. They're all still, they make mistakes. They've lost a few games this season, but obviously they weren't having any of that today, and just brought them to the sword.
To put it in context, how bad they've been, not only this season, but just over the court, like recently. On March 2nd, they lost 4-0 to Fortuna Dusseldorf.
That's not good.
It doesn't sound like a real place, if I'm being honest.
A month,
That's a little bit of
a
a
month
diss
before
there.
that,
No,
they
okay.
beat the same team in the DFB Pokal 4-1,
And then they
Schalke
lost
did.
4-0.
and then they lost 4-0
Okay,
in their
well.
next. It's insane. Not just how inconsistently bad that they've been all year, but just how bad they've been recently as well.
Okay.
It's
Can't win them all, Schalke.
Well, apparently they can't
they've
win
got
anything.
a
No.
legitimate
Yeah,
chance of potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're.
They won't
I mean,
finish. They won't finish bottom two because the bottom two are pretty set in stone at this point. But in the Bundesliga,
Oh, that third last
they've got the
place plays
playoff.
the
The
third.
third-
Oh yeah.
the third from bottom in the Bundesliga plays the third from top in the Bundesliga 2
That is so dope.
in
Every
a
league should do
playoff
that.
for promotion or to stay
Yeah.
in the Bundesliga.
Is that-
They've got a legitimate chance to play in that.
1 or 2 legs for that
I
game?
believe it's
Two.
2 legs, but
I just
I'm
did
not
it in
certain.
FIFA with my 18 München or 1860 München team, and
Nice,
we had to
nice.
play 2 legs.
Okay, 2
Yeah,
legs. Well,
yeah.
hopefully for them and their fans, it won't come to that because it'd be crazy to see such a team like Schalke with such history and such a big team.
Kush wouldn't care.
Like,
He's a
I mean,
Dortmund fan.
well, no,
Well-
as a fan of a team that despises Schalke, it's something that you don't want to see because rivalries are a lot more
Yeah.
fun when the other team is competitive.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you don't want to see a rival go down multiple leagues and only play them like once every like 4 years when you somehow run into them in an early stage of a cup, right?
Well, and
Yeah.
we've seen that with Newcastle and Sunderland. Just a quick
Exactly,
example.
yeah,
off
that's a
the top
good
of my head
example.
is
Yeah, the
they,
time where.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a huge game, and Newcastle dropped down first, and then bounced right back up. Sunderland dropped down a season later, and then dropped again, and now they're a mid-table League One side.
They're top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah, they're third place right now.
That's top 3.
So yeah, top 3. Well, sorry, I should preface that.
Oh, boy.
3, 4, and 5 are like a point apart.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So like we might see them in the championship next year.
If they win the promotion playoff, yeah.
Like, is that reasonable?
From what I've been kind of keeping up with League One this year because I want to see how Sunderland's doing. The top 2 teams have it like locked up. I believe it's Luton Town and cannot remember the other team. but
Barnsley, I have it here.
Is it Barnsley?
Yeah.
John
Barnsley
Stones.
and Luton Town.
79 and 74
Yeah,
points.
and then it's Sunderland, Portsmouth, Charlton Athletic, and then I don't remember who's after that.
that's impressive.
Damn. Well,
Just
I've
for
been
sta-
keeping up
For
with
starters,
the
that's
league.
impressive. In second, Sunderland's on 70 with 36 games played. They have one more.
Okay,
to play.
so they could even get guaranteed promotion. So
I mean, we're completely off topic here. I don't know why we're even talking about Sunderland.
Sunderland,
but
baby.
They had a
We want to
Netflix
see a
show.
derby. Yeah, they were on Netflix. We want to see them play against Newcastle in the Prem.
Yeah, that's
soon
what I
enough.
was
Maybe
gonna
they'll
say.
play in the championship next year if Newcastle goes down.
Newcastle won't go down.
Well,
I can't see that.
well,
While we're talking about lower league
Oh
football,
boy. Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
did
Where's-
I just realized we haven't even mentioned this. Did anyone see Jack Grealish get
Oh.
popped
Yeah.
upside the head and then
That
go on
was
and score the winner?
wild.
yeah, that's it's on the
That's-
it's on the roster today.
That's
Um,
the. Oh, I
yeah. So
apologize.
no, I mean
I-
yeah.
I-
Let's
we were just
it
talking
now.
about derbies, so it's a
Well,
good.
yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah,
it
that's
now.
fair.
So
That's the
that
beauty.
was the Aston Villa against Birmingham. I don't know the name of the derby.
It's called the Birmingham Derby.
The Birmingham Derby.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Creative.
for those of you
Yeah.
that don't know what happened, so there was a pitch invader, came onto the pitch and assaulted one of probably Aston Villa's best players,
Yes, by far the
I
best
think that's fair
player.
to say.
Jack Grealish. He was hyped up a couple years ago, linked with Tottenham when he was still around the Prem. Anyway, that's kind of
Stayed loyal
irrelevant,
to-
but
That's a throwback.
that is the throwback. Yeah, so he was hit on the back of the head by the fan, or punched in the head.
Yeah, it was
I
a bit
think.
of both. It was like punch, slap.
He was assaulted. He was
Yeah.
assaulted
Yeah.
in the head.
Yeah.
So since then, that fan has been sentenced to jail for 14 weeks.
Yeah.
4
months pretty much.
which is 4 months for
Yeah.
those of you doing math at home. And
Well, it's 3.5.
well, okay.
We're sport media.
Yeah, and good for Jack Grealish. He went and scored the winner at the end of that derby. So Aston Villa took Birmingham down there. So
Yeah.
that's a nice
He's-
little happy ending there.
Good,
but
good story for Jack Grealish. He's been with the club since he was like 12, I believe. He's been there
Yeah,
forever.
he's been there for
He
forever.
stayed loyal when other teams want to buy him. So
but it's horrible to see.
Oh,
just
that-
this event
yeah.
is just nothing.
The
Yeah.
fact that something that can happen in today's game is just kind of.
there's too many like I don't know if people saw, but during the Man U Arsenal game after we scored the pen, like a fan ran onto the field and like confronted Chris Smalling, like an Arsenal fan. Like I don't. It's way too. If someone has
It
a
happens
weapon,
way too frequently.
yeah, and
does,
if someone were to have a weapon, like imagine if the guy who assaulted Jack Grealish had a weapon, it could have been so much worse than what it was,
Absolutely.
right? Like it's scary stuff.
Yeah, well, it's kind of ridiculous that this stuff can still happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be, there's security all throughout the stadium, and then it seems to be you jump a fence and you're on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I understand that they want, part of the atmosphere, a huge part of it is that the fans are close, and that there's not like 4 fences for them to get through. But
Yeah.
if they want to keep the atmosphere, either the fans have to stop doing this, or security needs to be hugely improved.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like, but I'm sure there are people calling for improvements to this because we haven't, we see pitch invaders fairly often, but you don't often see them assaulting.
Yeah.
You see them taking selfies or,
Yeah,
like trying to give a hug to Ronaldo. You see
Yeah.
that all the time.
Even then, though, like
That's not,
yeah.
it's not good, but
it's not acceptable, but
Mm-mm.
it's not punching somebody in the face.
Yeah.
So that's,
agree.
just terrible to see.
Yeah.
But
Nice little tangent we went on there for some lower league football.
yeah, don't see that every day. So we'll bring it back to the Premier League now. We're going to give Nigel a chance to say some good things about his team. So the weekend,
Yes.
we saw Arsenal take down Manchester United 2-0 at the Emirates. Lukaku was completely off his game, struggled a lot.
Lukaku had chances, just couldn't finish.
Well,
he was in the right places.
That's his job, though. So I
True,
would say
yeah.
he struggled as their number 9, who they rely on for their goals.
Yeah.
So that means that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has
finally lost.
finally
In the Prem.
finally not won. So that was
True.
His 100% winning away record is over in all
Yeah.
competitions. He was 9 games for 9 after this.
That's
It's
crazy.
also strange, like since when do you win all your away games and
Yeah.
not all your home games? But
Yeah. Complete opposite Arsenal.
yeah. So and this means Arsenal surpass Manchester United and enter the top 4 for the first time in a very long time. And now they're just 1 point behind Tottenham going into the last 8 games of the season.
Obviously, all that makes me smile. I was when I saw the provisionary lineup come out, I was a little like, wow, this is what I've wanted all year, a full-on attacking lineup with Ozil, Aubameyang, and Lacazette up front. I think I was kind of scared when I saw the midfield of Xhaka and Ramsey because I'm like, wow, this is very attacking. You didn't even put Guendouzi in there. You put Ramsey in instead. But I was thoroughly impressed. I don't know what Unai Emery said to the team or how he set it up so perfectly, but everyone played the role to perfection. Leno had one of his better games in Arsenal kit. He's definitely been improving as of late. And all around, just very great team performance. We are playing great football at the right time of year. And we're still really great at home. Like, since we dropped points at the beginning of the year, we haven't really dropped many since. So I believe that's 9 straight wins at home now for Arsenal, which is really great. And it's also great to get a 2-0 win against a team like that when you have to play a team like Rennes on Thursday, being down 3-1 on aggregate. Knowing that you can beat Man U 2-0, then you should be able to beat Rennes 4 or 5-0 at home. There's no excuse not to.
Well, it's kind of interesting there because it was exactly the flippin' we'll see what happens, but a flippin' mindset from Manchester United because they went away to Paris and won, and then they can't even go away to. I mean, Arsenal's a good side. But, you would expect them
After
to put up a
beating
little bit
Paris,
more of a fight. Paris is one of the.
Especially having Pogba, Martial, all these players back in their lineup, you would expect a lot better performance against Arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. A decent clean sheet. Ramsey had a really, really good game.
You're gonna miss him.
Won't see much more of him in the Prem. I don't even know where I'm going right now.
It's okay. Jumping ahead slightly in a rundown. Tottenham in the Prem now have gone 4 straight without a win.
Heck yeah, baby.
Last week we were talking about the top 4 and who we thought would make it in. Do we see a chance that Arsenal not only pass Tottenham, but some of the teams maybe chasing can pass them if this kind of form
Can pass Tottenham as well?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Man U's 2 points or 3 points behind.
3 points behind now. Yeah.
Chelsea has a game in hand. They're 6 points behind, but they could be, or no, 5.
They're close too. If they win their game in hand, it's against Brighton. So I would hope that they would be able to pick up 3 there. But they're in the
I
conversation.
think they're
as
tied
well.
with Arsenal then if they do that. So
they're right in there too.
You're right.
They look like they're behind because of the game in hand.
but they're really not. They're right. No one's talking about them right now, but they're right there as well.
They've come back since they lost the Carabao Cup final. They've been very
the
solid.
whole Kepa thing.
We saw Kepa dropped for the first game after that, and then he's back, and he had a very good game against Fulham. He had a good few games. He's been fairly solid. I do remember where I was going with the Arsenal Manchester United chat. We didn't see any big mistakes from Arsenal, which is maybe a big thing.
Rare.
Yeah. So
wait, can I point something out?
Absolutely.
You know who wasn't in the lineup?
Shakhtar
Mustafi. And I defended. I've defended him, and I've said, listen, he's an okay defender. He gets the job done. I'm tired of saying that because when I see a defensive lineup with Nacho Monreal, Laurent Koscielny, and Socrates, I'm like, this is what we need. And then on the wings having Kolasinac and hopefully it would usually be Bellerin.
Maitland-Niles did a
but
good
Maitland-Niles
job.
actually played a really good game. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, our most accident-prone player didn't play, and sure enough, we don't make any accidents.
Yeah. And on top of that, I think Arsenal played well, but it also went their way. So there were no mistakes, and they scored a penalty later on.
Man U hit both posts and the crossbar.
So that's pretty lucky. And then Xhaka's goal was
sick.
It was interesting. I don't know if it's a good goal or a bad goal.
It's a great goal.
I still haven't decided because
saw
it makes De Gea look so bad.
You saw that goal or no?
But
I did not.
Oh.
It moved like a balloon.
Yeah,
it was all over the place. It looked like it was going
hit it like that. It was
near side, and then suddenly it was close to the far post, and De Gea was rooted.
He was very pissed off after.
So,
that sounds right.
He hit
it. Yeah, that sounds.
Xhaka
like
hit
David
it. Just hit it very hard on target. It moved.
Guy's so good at long shots.
Yeah,
you can't even say he's not anymore.
You can't.
But yeah, that's enough about Arsenal. I'm really happy right now.
Sure.
Hopefully we can keep the momentum, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So we'll see now. I mean, the top 4 races hasn't been this close all season. So now we see a proper title race. We have been for a little bit now, and now we're seeing a proper third, fourth place race. First and second, I would say, are pretty secured as long as one of them doesn't derail their entire season now.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't expect, but so
Liverpool, man, you never know.
Well, you do never know. We'll see how that goes, but I don't think it'll be City. So we'll move on. Pretty big upset for in the Newcastle Everton game. We won't talk too much about it, but so Everton were up 2-0 fairly comfortably away at Newcastle, and then suddenly 65th minute and onward, within 20 minutes, it's 3-2 to Newcastle. Everton, this means that they've fallen down to 11th, so the bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
Obviously not where they want to be. Now, this is interesting. It's also, I just said title race, top 4 race, a proper relegation scrap for the last place team, or sorry, the third last.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll make myself
the
more clear.
The final that'll be relegated.
The final relegation spot. Yeah.
18th place.
18th place. There we go. That's helpful.
Also a race for 6th, 7th for Europa, or potentially 8th.
It just seems to be tight all the way around.
Yeah,
somehow there's it's divided up. The first and second, and then 6,
3 through 6.
4, 3 through 6. But so all that to say, there are only 7 points separating 11th and 17th.
Wow.
So Everton have now dropped into that 11th place. So that upper, the whole bottom half, excluding the relegation zone, is within 7 points, which
it's crazy.
A lot of those teams aren't picking up points very often, but if one team goes on a run, wins a few, draws a few, they could see themselves come up from 16th, 17th.
There's a lot of potential for movement down there.
All the way up to almost the top half of the table, and hopefully feel secure. And then if they can, consistency is everything for those teams now. If they can get some string some points together, and then they could see themselves finishing a nice 13th or 12th instead of 16th, 17th.
Yeah.
And it's kind of who's who, and it's anybody's guess who's going to pick up points in those games.
Yeah, no matter what club you support in the Prem right now, there's something to watch for.
Yeah, we don't always see that very often. I mean, Fulham and Huddersfield, I would argue, are probably relegated.
You never know.
Huddersfield, I would
Huddersfield,
say.
yes. Yeah. Fulham, you never know. What the quality they have
at this point, I mean,
they're running out of time.
They're running out of time, but they have so much quality that if one day it just clicked, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think they're going to win the league next year, actually, like Leicester.
The championship, maybe.
Yeah. They should have kept Ranieri.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Ranieri, he picked up a job already.
How about that for a transition?
That's straight into a Champions League club. Not in the Champions League anymore, but straight into
I couldn't believe that.
I would say a very much...
top 10 club in the world.
Oh, yeah. A much better club than he was at. Which, at Roma, if anybody... I don't think we mentioned that, but he's at Roma now. So that's just kind of a weird thing of the day. Happened last week after our show, and suddenly, he's not good enough to keep a club up, and now he's managing a top 4 side in Italy. So
I think it's pretty crazy that he can go from failing to keep up Fulham to managing a team that's worth, over $500 million or pounds easily,
and
they
were just in the Champions League
and
too.
have quality players, like
Mhm.
unreal young players and
A
older
future,
players
too,
and
yeah.
a future.
A
And
strong team.
I don't know if it's the best choice from Roma, but you know what? They're going with their man. And I mean,
After
yeah.
being eliminated in the Champions League, they're currently 5th in Serie A in the Europa League spot, battling with a couple of clubs for the 3rd and 4th spots for the Champions League. And I guess after losing in the Champions League, they no longer had faith in their current management and are looking to make some kind of move. It's kind of crazy that a manager can go from being, 19th in the Prem, getting sacked there,
to 5th in Syria.
to 5th in Serie A in a club that was in the Champions League a
now
week ago.
and now instead of a relegation scrap, he finds himself in
And
a
a
Champions
promotion,
League scrap.
yeah.
Or,
Or sorry,
yeah,
not
top of the
promotion, a
table.
top
Yeah,
four,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, top 4 scrap. So,
Completely different mentality.
We'll see which one he's better suited to. I mean, we talked about it last week. I think I said he'd be better suited to something like this. I said he wouldn't be good for a relegation scrap because
Wow.
we've seen him be
That's
close
true.
to relegation. I'm not saying I think this is good or bad. I was very surprised to see it.
Yeah.
Somebody messaged our group and said Ranieri to Roma.
Mhm.
I thought that was just like noise. Like it wasn't actually true. And then lo and behold, a couple hours later, it's confirmed, announced by the club, and now he has a new job. So I don't even know what to think about it.
It's crazy, man.
It definitely came out of left field.
I mean, when you win a Premier League in the fashion he did, I think you're going to carry some prestige around your name
Yeah.
for at least a couple seasons.
But after that, though, he got sacked by Leicester. He
hasn't
went to
done
he went to
anything.
Nantes. He didn't really do anything there. He was at Fulham and got sacked. So that's not great either. I mean, a prem
he
is
pulled off
a prem, right?
the greatest underdog story in sports history.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
that. There's also that.
But then he
So-
also got fired right away the next season. So
And then
I mean, I don't think you can forget that.
okay,
And, the pizza is great in Italy. So
yeah.
No.
Also, okay, I'm gonna bring up a question which will also lead us into another debate. What was the more shocking hire? Zinedine Zidane going back to Real or this to Roma? For me, it has to be still Zidane.
Zidane, yeah.
That was
yeah.
these-
Well,
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get
Yeah.
right into it. So that's our little story of the week. Zinedine Zidane has been rehired already to take over Real Madrid as their permanent manager. He signed a contract until the end of the 2021-22 season. So not just a caretaker like we've seen other clubs do at this time in the season, which to me would have made perfect sense for both of them to just kind of, he's got like 4 months left in the season, 3 months left in the season to take them sort of steady the ship and not make it worse for themselves. Yeah, I mean, is this a good decision for the club?
How I look at it, and I saw this on Twitter. I can't credit who said it because I forget, but he was so fed up with the management and how little money he was getting at Real Madrid. The only way, in my opinion, he would return is if they said, "Here's a blank check, buy whoever you want this summer."
Yeah, I saw that
And
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's honestly that's kind of scary because I don't know.
Well, we don't know what he can do. Like,
He possesses. He's like right now he's Thanos with all the infinities. like he's got so much power right now.
well, he does. He's got
He has
tons
power over the club.
He has
Like,
tons
yeah,
of pull.
he has so much leverage over the club right
But
now.
within the club, but also in the transfer market, we've heard Mbappe and Hazard both targets, but they both talked about how much they love Zinedine Zidane.
Oh, especially in Bob, like grew up watching.
Oh
him,
yeah,
right?
well,
Like,
yeah.
It's going to get wild.
It's
I,
well,
like
it doesn't look good for me as a Chelsea fan because I think this is the summer we'll see Hazard leave.
especially with your transfer ban, you're gonna have to make
transfer
yeah.
ban. I mean, that would suggest that he might stay if he was a good person and
But
if
he's
he was
not.
loyal. We'll see. He's talked so much in the media. He's like, I love Real Madrid. They're the best club in the world. Of course, I want to play for them. He's saying all this stuff. And now that Zidane is back there, I think
He's such a likable manager. Like players
Mhm.
looked up to him, and
Yeah.
really, I think he got the best out of players, and that's
Absolutely.
something that, obviously, the two managers that Real have had, Lopetegui obviously did a terrible job at doing,
Lopetegui, but
or
close
Lopetegui,
enough.
Lopetegui, same thing, and their previous one, whose name escapes me at the moment,
Solari.
Solar, right?
Yeah.
He also did, in my opinion, a terrible job at just managing players. I'm really interested to see what this does for Vinicius now with Zidane coming in. I don't know if this will better his season or make it worse because up to now he's been having, in my opinion, a really great season for an 18-year-old and
Mhm.
one of the best teams in the world. But I don't know if this will,
Help or hinder?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he is also injured for a bit now.
that's true.
But I can't imagine we'll see Isco on the bench anymore. He was a huge favorite of Zidane. He played a lot of games ahead of Bale on that right wing, more of as a
Gareth
wide
Bale doesn't
playmaker.
like this. That's for
So
sure.
this first,
Oh yeah.
Gareth Bale obviously wasn't or hasn't been the player that they need him to be. We talked about him before, that he's not kept up with Ronaldo's standards, and he hasn't been that player that they need him to be. And now I think we'll see even less of him because Zidane wasn't a fan of him.
They clashed heads a lot last year, and I think, as much as I think Gareth Bale's an outsider in that locker room, and he always has been. And I think every time, they made a good point. Every time he scored a goal, the team wasn't really around him, kind of thing. If you look at the bike kick from the crazy bike kick, not that many people go to run over with him, which is like, you just scored a bike kick in the Champions League final, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you would expect your teammates to run over with you. So I don't know if it's his fault or it's just because he's in a completely different country with a big Spanish influence and, a Spanish-speaking team or what it is. But I don't think he's well liked at Real, and I wouldn't be surprised now that Zidane's back that he tries to force a move away. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think this brings happy days for Real Madrid. Looking at the signings he made when he in his 3-year tenure there, Vinicius, Alvaro Morata, Theo Hernandez, Dani Ceballos, Martin Odegaard, all under 23, I think, at the time for Morata. So I think that kind of perhaps gives signs towards the future where Zidane might want to take Real Madrid. And
Well, they need a rebuild, in my opinion. They're running.
Well, a rebuild for them is different than a rebuild for most teams.
I would say they need the most rudimentary rebuild anyone could bring up. Yeah, because if you look at their spine, their core of that team, well, hopefully Rafa Varane is reinvigorated somehow. He's been not having a good season.
No.
But Sergio Ramos isn't getting any younger. Modric and Kroos are aging. Marcelo is getting up there. Benzema as well.
Fair. Okay.
When you look at where their squad is headed, it's not entirely positive, and we'll see if they have players hanging around, squad players that just haven't been used that are going to be quality. Isco can come into Modric's spot right away. He could do it today, and he's obviously got quite a few more years left.
I don't know if he can step right in and fill the same.
Well, he's obviously a very talented player.
Yeah, I think Luka Modric is just a couple steps above him.
currently,
as of today,
right?
Next season,
fair,
we'll see. He's 33, so
true.
That's not young.
there's also rumors that they might want to do a double swoop, unfortunately for you, for Hazard and Conte,
That's not good.
which I think would
It's a
put them
big
right
oof.
back up there
That's
in
your
the
whole
Champions
team,
League.
right?
Yeah, that's like our two best players, or two most important, I would say. Here's one. I'll get all of your opinions on this real quick. Was it down the right hire?
Yes, 100%.
I believe
yes.
so, yeah.
Unless Pochettino is available.
Pochettino wouldn't leave Spurs.
I don't
during
think
the
he is
middle of the
available.
year.
Yeah, he's not available.
No,
So
not even if Real Madrid comes knocking.
I think they probably
No.
did come.
Why would
Why would he?
Why would he leave? Like, okay, Brendan
Because he
Rodgers
could
thing
bring
was
Harry
weird.
Kane.
Like leaving a team in the middle of the year to go to another
That's
team.
unusual.
Yeah,
It is
that doesn't
unusual.
usually happen
Yeah.
because you have a respect for your club, obviously.
Mhm.
And I think with Pochettino being at Spurs now for 5-6 seasons, I couldn't see him just leaving and going.
Now.
Yeah, in the middle of.
Well, I
A
meant
top scrap.
they could hold out till the end of the year.
That's true. They could have done something different. He's already their third manager this season.
But
Since
I mean,
replacing him in
who's
the
better
summer.
than the manager that just won you 3 Champions Leagues in a row?
Yeah,
And he left on his own terms. Like, there wasn't any.
I
Yeah,
was
so
shocked
for me
that no one
personally-
else hired him.
well,
Or did he?
I don't think he
Well, I was
really.
gonna
I don't
say,
think
yeah.
he really proved
I
that
don't
he was
think
top
that's,
class. It was kind of like what we're seeing with Solskjaer. He was good at one club.
Maybe.
He's good for
I would have
Madrid
liked to
because he
see
has,
him at a
he has
team like
so
Roma
much
or
pull.
something.
He was a true legend for that club.
Yeah.
He scored goals in the Champions League final. Like, he's won everything with them.
That being said, I would imagine that there were clubs that approached him.
Yeah, he probably.
Well, he
But
was linked with Manchester United.
Why?
Before.
Yeah.
Why would he take certain other jobs? Like, there's no reason for him to do something like that because he has that much pull based off of his success.
Mm-hmm.
He's also getting way less of a budget than what he would have had at Real,
Exactly,
and he
right?
was mad at that budget. so-
Personally, for me, I wouldn't have said yes if I were Zidane. So
to coming back,
yeah, it must have. Well, you mentioned it there. It must have been
blank check.
Completely-
Not right now.
completely on his own terms for the summer that he believes that he has the personal ability to do it again and rebuild them
I
quickly
think
enough
he's
and
gonna-
bring them
yeah.
back, because he has not managed them and not won the Champions League. which is remarkable. First of all,
they
but
can't win anything
but
this year.
no, exactly.
Like, they're out of
So
everything.
that's a tough look for him. At the
They won the
beginning.
Club World Cup. That's pretty massive.
Wow.
Sorry.
A trophy in December.
Those
That's
teams
crazy.
from Singapore just really.
Yeah,
they're
the Japanese league
best
really
club in the world.
they put up a
by
big
definition.
fight there. That's a little off topic now, but I just personally, for me, I think when he made the decision to leave himself, he resigned, right? He wasn't fired.
Yeah.
When he made that decision, I'm surprised that he already reversed that decision within a year, that he's already coming back before the end of the next season. Because it was
to a
his
certain
decision.
extent.
Like, he must have made
could
that.
it have been a move saying like, I'm going to do this because I foresee that whoever comes in to replace me won't do as good of a job or won't be as successful, so they'll come racing back to me and give me the things that I want?
Ooh, his ego is probably bigger than any other humans in the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if.
Wow.
Well, let's just keep it
So many hot.
like on the.
I don't think that's a hot take.
On
I
the
think Cristiano
field,
Ronaldo has a bigger
Okay,
ego.
one of the biggest egos in world football.
Okay.
On the
Donald
field when
Trump.
he played.
Okay,
We're
that's
talking
completely
football.
off topic.
Yeah. Like on the field when he played, massive ego, and you could see it last year, or last couple of years being a manager as well. Like I don't know. I think he's confident in himself. Obviously, he definitely bets on himself, and I agree with Kush. Maybe that easily could have been a thing that went through his head. So
Yeah, I mean, and if we look at alternatives, we mentioned Pochettino was linked with them quite a bit. The other available managers right now that would probably be within their realm of quality and sort of stature in the managerial would have been, I think, is Pochettino, Zidane, who they went with, and then Antonio Conte is available, and so is Jose Mourinho. Mourinho has been there already. Conte was linked with it in the summer I believe, after he had just that weird finish with Chelsea where nobody was sure if he was going to stay or not. Yeah, so would you rather have seen those managers or Zidane as obvious choice? I think Zidane might have been the obvious choice.
Yeah, no, I think we all.
Yeah, we're all in agreement there that Zidane is
Given the
one
circumstances, I think that Zidane was probably the best fit and the best choice.
He knows the system. He's coming. It's not like a new manager having to come in. He's loved by every fan.
He won't be scared of the spotlight.
Yeah,
I mean, and the squad hasn't changed one bit.
not really. And the fans love him. So I think it's probably the best hire they could have had.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we got a. What are we gonna go to here?
Do we want to save VAR for maybe next week so we can dive in a bit deeper, or do we want to still go with that?
No, yeah, let's save that. We'll just we'll jump into next week's Champions League.
Yeah, for sure.
Sound okay? Well, tomorrow's Champions League even. I'm just all mixed up all over the place.
Hey, it's all
I
good.
kind of
So-
thought it was the next week. Too,
It-
to be
It
so-
was an early morning.
Very early morning. So, yeah, and Kyle
Watson
was
made
there
it
for the
out,
first
yeah.
time ever. Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Second appearance of the season, I think. Anyway, so yeah, we'll look at the upcoming games. So tomorrow, Bayern Munich host Liverpool, and Barcelona host Lyon. So interestingly, both of those games
0-0.
are 0-0 in
Yeah.
aggregate. So both of the home teams for tomorrow's game will feel that they have an advantage.
Yeah.
It's a home game. Obviously,
road
they went
goals.
away, but
Yeah.
also that means that they're vulnerable to the road
road
goals.
goals. Yeah.
So, if Liverpool scores one, say, against Bayern Munich early, they fly out the traps.
A
They
cheeky little Salah.
yeah,
you know,
or
classic.
Mane,
or a
they're
classic
so
Mane.
deadly on the
Klopp
counterattack.
loves playing against Bayern.
He sure does. He's got plenty of experience with it too. If we see a quick goal, then right away Bayern have to score twice. So that's
yeah.
if you put it, it depends.
Same thing with the Barca
Leo.
Leon. I couldn't think of their name. Because Leon has a lot of quality in attack, like Fekir,
They do.
Memphis Depay, and Domely in the midfield as well, or in
Awar as well.
yeah, Arar.
Yeah, so-
But yeah, they have a lot of quality, and Moussa Dembele has been playing well for them recently as well. So if they score an early goal, like a fluke or a free kick, because they have quality from free kicks, set pieces. I don't know. Watch out, Barca.
Yeah.
If I'm picking an upset for the games this week, I'd pick Lyon over Barca.
Yeah, and I mean, Barca would have been happy with their draw, obviously, to get Lyon. I mean, they're not.
That's one of the more favorable draws.
It's favorable. They're not a
Yeah.
bad team by any means, and we saw what they can do in the Champions League. They gave Man City all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
Both games in the group, they were difficult games for Manchester City. I think Lyon.
Well, they beat them.
Lyon won the first game,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Only team to beat them at the Etihad this year.
yeah. So I mean, that's huge. I mean, if they can do that at the Etihad against this Manchester City, like who's to say they can't do it against this Barcelona? If Messi doesn't show up, we could
Yikes.
see. The one goal, the first goal is crucial for both these games. I
How
think.
crazy would it be to see a final 8 without Real Madrid and Barca in it?
I mean, it'll be the first time in I don't know how long, but
Years.
very,
so many.
very,
Probably
very
our
long
lifetime.
time. Maybe ever.
Not
To see either
in the
of those
Champions League.
Champions
Yeah.
League.
We might even
History,
see it
yeah.
without Bayern as well.
I wouldn't be surprised. So for me,
Oh.
the game I'm going to watch is going to be the Bayern Munich
Oh,
Liverpool.
yeah, me too.
I mean, those
I'll
those
flip back
two,
and forth though.
those two teams, I think, can
Dual
both.
screen, come on now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
sure you,
sorry. Okay, yeah.
Excellent
One on the-
in-depth coverage here.
One on the phone, one on the laptop.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. But whoever comes out with more desire, I think is going to take that game. Liverpool are going to be disappointed they couldn't pick up at least one goal at home. Obviously, Anfield is where they love to play.
Had their chances, probably should
Yeah.
have.
So they'll be kicking themselves a little bit. Maybe that'll, motivate them a little bit to come out and do better this time. Firmino's coming off goals. He hasn't been super consistent this season, but he's got a couple in his last game. So, and they've got goals from all over the pitch. I mean, maybe we'll put it this way: who are we going to see in the next round? Do you think from these two games?
Bayern. I'm gonna stick with. I think Lyon can upset. I'm gonna.
Ooh,
gonna
okay.
Pick Lyon.
Okay.
Bayern Lyon.
I'm going complete opposite. I'm going Liverpool, Barcelona.
Fair enough.
I'll say Barcelona because I think Messi's gonna look at what Ronaldo just did, and
Fair.
That's
This
true.
is
That's a good point.
one of past 3 years, I think Real Madrid have been better than Barca, but I think this year Barca are probably as good as Juve. And I think I'll go with Bayern. Just Liverpool haven't been putting away their chances lately, so I think that might come in to bite them.
I would. I'm going to go with Barcelona and Liverpool. I don't know if anybody else said exactly that.
Kush.
I got you. I got you.
Because Liverpool, I think, just have more in them to take this game. And Bayern Munich's players recently got thrown on the bus. It kind of went under the radar. But Joachim Löw,
Yeah.
the Germany manager, I might have butchered his name there a little bit. But
It was pretty
the guy
solid.
that
It
sniffs
was
the
pretty
starts.
good.
I mean, I'm no German, but he came out in the media and said that Jerome Boateng, Mats Hummels, and Thomas Müller will never represent Germany again, which is, well, under his management
Yeah.
at least.
That's the big part of it because.
Well,
to
maybe
get
we'll
the-
never
to make
see
this
him
quickly.
again.
I don't think Joachim Löw ever manages a major tournament for Germany ever again.
Even Euro 2020. It's coming up soon.
Ooh, maybe
He's-
that could be his last though. There's
If
no
they
way
don't
he
do
makes
well-
I would imagine that's his last.
Even
I
if
think
they-
he makes it there, but I don't think he makes
Well, they
it
kept
past.
him on after the World Cup, so
which I was shocked because they were so bad. At
I would
the
have
imagine
tons
though
of
if they're
faith in the
gonna,
manager.
yeah, exactly. If they stuck with him through that, there's no way they fire him now when nothing's
True,
going on
yeah,
before
fair.
the next competition.
Well, I was just gonna say I think he's taking steps in the right direction and acknowledging that perhaps it's time to give some playing time to guys like Nick Sula, Goretzka, and Gnabry, guys who have actually all been playing better than those other three for Bayern this season. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, it's just the timing is. I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter what Germany does right now, but it matters a lot what Bayern Munich does. And if I don't know if they're all healthy, but if Boateng and Hummels get the nod as the center back partnership, if their confidence is rattled, there's no one I would
Yeah.
rather.
Hummels has been really shaky this year as well.
Yeah, he's not been very good. Or he's just not having a good season. Maybe he's fallen off. I don't know what's
He is
going on with him.
33. Like
I
he's
think
getting
he's a
older.
bit younger than that.
I think
Uh,
30.
He's been around.
He's around his 30.
He just
he's-
has been around forever.
But I think that they're gonna, if there's one team that could cause the most problems, it would be a front three of Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino,
Yeah.
and Mohamed Salah.
That Klopp X factor against Bayern
He just loves the game against
He
Bayern.
does love it.
He loves it.
in Germany. Gotta love it.
You really, yeah. I mean,
you love it.
yeah, Kush loves
yeah.
it.
That's why you're rooting for Liverpool.
Little nostalgia. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, can't argue with that. So, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else?
I think we're good to head
I
out.
think we're gonna wrap it up there. So, thanks so much for listening, everybody that's out there. Or I'm sure we're building a listener base eventually. So I've been your host,
Mom.
Simon Kishchuk. Thanks to Kyle Watson, Kyle Cushman, and Naji Gubechkin, as always, for being here with me in the studio. And we'll see you guys next week again, same time Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in to the Final Whistle.